What are dog sports? Do you do them with your dog? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today.
Welcome to The Woofy Show, the ultimate dog lover's digest. Meet your hosts, Brian and Magda, two dog lovers ready to help you be the best dog parent, unravel the mysteries of canine behavior, and keep you updated on the latest trends in the dog world. This podcast has something for everyone. Get ready for heartwarming stories, expert advice, and a lot of laughs.
So, let everyone know, what are dog sports?
Dog sports are basically activities or competitions that you can do with your dog.
Yep.
And the general idea is that it's to test your dog's ability to be obedient. It tests their agility and just overall athleticism.
Yeah, and it involves, for the most part, both the dog and you as the handler, the owner.
Yeah.
They use the term handler, but it's used as pet parent.
Most dog sports are team, as in you as a handler and a dog.
At least from our experience. I don't know maybe about some of them. I don't know about barn hunt. I'm sorry, I was just having a thought.
No, barn hunt also is like a team sport.
But you need to know your dog's sign for finding it. So you're right. Doesn't involve the athleticism as the human for all of them, but some of them.
People get really kind of threatened by the dog sport idea because they think that the little chihuahua can't do dog sports, which is completely wrong.
Yeah, we talked about that in the agility episode. And that's one of the sports.
All dogs can do any sports. Like honestly, all of the sports that there are, any dog can do it. It doesn't mean that they're going to excel.
No, of course not.
At that sport because of certain disadvantages that they have, such as height and, a hound will be better at scent than
and
the
we'll
dog,
get
right?
into a little bit of the dog sports, and you'll be able to kind of understand, like, oh, I think my dog would be good at that. And that's the point of this episode, is kind of just letting you know what dog sports are, what's out there. Because every time we talk to people, they never heard of whatever, flyball, this, dock diving, and they're like, oh, my dog would probably love that. And that's what this episode's for.
I think
we want everyone to do this.
It's going to be just a quick overview of the most popular dog sports out there.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go too deep into each one because we want to have experts on the show who can actually talk to us.
Yes. And we have one so far, and we want to keep going. But we thought, let's just do a general overview.
Yeah. So people know what dog sports are and what are the benefits.
Of course. So we'll get right into the benefits. And there's lots. I mean, one of the first ones is it helps build kind of a bond with you and your dog. Like you were talking about, most of them are kind of a team. And that's the thing. It's you and your dog as a team. It's you understanding your dog's signals. It's you kind of training with your dog to go over those jumps, go through the tunnels, as we talked about in the agility, throwing the toy off the dock in a certain way so they go as far as they can. Flyball, it's learning, if you're starting with a flyball, is learning when to let go. Well, it doesn't matter. Learning when to let go of your dog so they pass the previous dog at a really good timing. So it involves you as the handler, the human, the dog parent, just as much as it involves the dog.
I remember someone once commented on one of our posts because I was talking about us, like me and Maple being a team and doing really good at this rally obedience or whatever it was, and someone said like, oh, like a team, like it's all Maple's doing, like she was the one who won the ribbon or whatever, and I'm like, excuse me.
Well, we have to teach her.
We have to be a team. Like this is a team
She
sport.
can't read the signs. She can't read she doesn't know when to go, when to stop, when to sit.
It's not
like
just
any
all
other
the
sport.
dog doing the work. Like,
and I guess, another kind of benefit, well, not really benefit, but it's more that we were talking about how any dog can do it. And it's more than ribbons and titles. Yes, you can get special titles and little letters and abbreviations and cool ribbons and certificates. And it's good to get, just like sports with humans. But it's not just that.
Yeah.
It's the fun. Like we know with Maple, she has so much fun doing it. Even if she completely flops and fails or whatever, or doesn't jump very far or messes up, we're having a good time.
But do you think you would be doing dog sports if there wasn't that recognition for them?
Oh, that's a good one. I still think so.
Yeah.
I still think so. But it's just that thing that it's like a goal to get towards.
Yeah.
And I think that's what helps. Just like anything. Just like when you do training or whatever you do, like it's those steps you take. And that's what it is. It's not only one ribbon you're going to get and it takes 5 years to get. No, there's like little steps, like, little points here. depending on the sport, there's like little steps, and I think that helps. And
it's like milestones that you reach, right?
Milestones. So
like for me as well, it's not about that ribbon, really. Although it is nice.
It's nice to
you
get
feel
some.
good,
Yeah.
but it's that progress, right? It's seeing what you have achieved with your dog, and
as they get better too. So like, what took them, I don't know, a whole summer to get this, one ribbon or one title, they can do in half the time next time because they get better at it or faster or whatever the sport is. You know what I mean? So I think that's a huge.
It's not just for the bragging rights.
Well, and that kind of goes towards the next one, which a benefit is like working towards like a shared goal. So that's the point is not just the ribbons. It's maybe it is the goal to get master, excellent, champion, whatever the title is called. Yeah. But you're working towards those goals together. And sometimes you have setbacks. Sometimes you'll do a competition and you'll kind of be set back a little bit.
So do you remember just how good it felt when you went to your first Flyball tournament and like when she did her first run?
Yeah, with all of the distractions. Like we have like, we took classes and which is fine. Then you do like a team practice, which is fine. Like they try to make it as close to a competition, but it's not. It's nothing the same. And I was so nervous.
Yeah, because anything
so anxious
can happen.
Because we'll get into Flyball, but it's like two dogs. A relay race, but they're racing each other. And I was scared Maple was going to chase the other dogs or want to chase a different ball. But like she did amazing. And it was just such like we worked a lot. Like we spent a year kind of on and off doing that.
Exactly. Like, and that's the progress, right? You start with that one class of, her just like jumping through the obstacles, like really not caring
you shared that
and
reel.
all this.
It's on, is it on Maple's? It's on Maple's Instagram. Well, we actually don't have it in the description. We should probably
I think it's on ours on the Wolfie Show.
It is, of where we started and where we got, and we've just started Flyball. Yeah.
And that was last year, right? And it took so much work to get to that point of doing that first run, and it was emotional.
Oh yeah, it really was. And when she got her 100 points or whatever to get her first title, well, it was I think 25 is the first one, but we did pretty well. That's 25 and 100. I literally had to go outside because it was so emotional. I needed to get away from everybody so they're not like.
You could have a little cry. By the way, if someone's from the team listening to this, Brian cried.
Oh, I told them that afterwards because there was another woman. She had also a very emotional thing when her dog, who was an older dog, who she said she was been working for 6 or 7 years to complete it. And that's the thing. It's such an awesome feeling. And I guess that kind of rolls into the next point of them learning stuff and the valuable skills you build. Well, your dog more than anything, but they learn so many interesting skills that help in anything, in the topic of Flyball. It's fetch and retrieve in a sense.
Skills that are transferable as well. It's not just, we're going to be retrieving this ball and this is the only time that we're going to be doing this thing. These skills that you learn in sports, they can be transferred into other life skills of the
obedience
dog, right?
is literally obedience. It's them learning how to heel properly, sit, when command stay.
It teaches them the impulse control, right? How to
all
hold.
Sports is in agility for them to stay on the start line and not move when they're really excited and they want to go over those jumps or tunnels or whatever. Or with disc, it's learning them to catch things in the air. That's I was gonna say hand-eye coordination, but mouth-eye coordination, I guess, for a dog. But it's so many interesting things that kind of help from if you want to toss your dog a treat, they'll be able to catch it now because you've taught them how to catch a Frisbee or all of those kind of things. So that's a huge one. And now I would say we probably should have started with this one. This benefit is probably the most important, is having fun. Yes. The benefit of having fun with your dog, because it is so much fun. And you don't think about it. When we got Maple, we knew about all these dog sports because
we didn't.
Well, no, we knew of them.
Yeah.
We knew the names because when we filled out the application, it's what do you want to do?
Exactly.
And I remember Flyball was one of them.
And
we Googled some of them. We knew some of them, but I was like, what's Flyball? And I watched it and I was like, no, this doesn't. Let's not tick that one. Let's not. Dog diving. Yeah, she can do that. And then we just did a try-it-all class. We tried it. And after that first competition, I'm hooked for life. if anyone's a Flyball fan here, anyone's listening, watching that loves Flyball, you probably know the feeling. That's it. We're doing that forever.
It's very like adrenaline rushing,
it
right?
is. It's so much fun. It's drag racing for dogs. I know maybe as a guy, that's probably why I really like it.
Yeah.
But it's like...
And people think it's only whippets and greyhounds that do, dog racing, and it's not true.
Yeah,
There's so many different dogs doing this.
It's crazy to see little dogs, big dogs. To be honest, having a small dog, because that's how they set the height for like jumps. So having small dogs is good. So then the big dogs can just walk over the jumps. So don't have to jump over them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's such a like fun activity. Like, and not just that one, all of them. A lot of them are so much fun. And it's not just about, like we said, getting ribbons, titles, because sometimes your dog just won't do it that time. But they tried, and they're having a blast.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that. They might have messed up that agility competition or something like that, but that's fine. That's just like humans. You have a tournament or a competition, you don't play at your best.
Yeah, but like I wonder what goes through dog's mind, right? Like when they actually ask to perform. Like, do they realize that the environment's different, obviously, for them and things like that? Do they feel nervous?
I don't know.
I feel like in Maple's mind, like she knows she has a job to do and she just focuses on that and then she just does it.
Yeah, everyone has fun. She has fun. And that's the thing. And then when you do classes or you train, and that's what we were talking about in the agility episode about training them. And it's not about like, sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes they struggle, and that's fine. Just slow it down. Go back.
But the thing with having fun as well is that it's important that you, as a person, is having fun, but also that your dog loves doing what you chose to do.
Yes.
Because I feel like it's kind of pointless and mean if you basically make your dog do something that they just clearly are not enjoying doing.
That goes into the next section we'll get into. So we'll pause on that part and we'll elaborate a little bit more. Just a couple more benefits, though. We'll wrap these ones up. Is it provides a productive outlet for them, something that they could burn off the energy, something they can use their brain. And again, we're talking about Flyball, agility, fast things, but things like barn hunts, things like scent work, that's not crazy high energy, but it tires them out just as much because they're using their nose like crazy. And it's fascinating when you hide treats around in your house. I think we had talked about that for activities. It's so interesting watching like your dog in like
use
focus
their
mode,
nose,
tails wagging, like, which means they're happy. You're just sniffing, but they're so happy trying to find whatever they got to find, whether it's treats, toys, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like, dogs can get bored and things like that. And people always think to themselves like, oh, what can I do to, enrich my dog's life? And this is exactly what you can do. You can seek out these training facilities and start doing dog sports. So your dog has that outlet to use their energy in a productive way rather than a destructive manner, right?
Exactly. As we talked about dog parks, off-leash dog parks, don't just use that as your way to have fun with your dog. Because you're not having fun. You're not involved.
Yeah,
dog, and
so that's another thing, right?
Is you are more involved. There's a lot of classes, and the classes are meant to teach you, not the dog. This class is meant to teach you how to throw a dog, throw a dog. Don't throw your dog. Throw a disc, which is hard. It was hard to learn. I mean, I'm still learning that. Flyball, it's mostly your dog running, getting it, but it's learning when to release your dog.
Yeah.
Agility, same thing, learning how to cue up your dog. Scent work, it's teaching, like learning your dog signs and teaching them like when they find it. So there's a lot of them.
So is there any other
Yes,
benefits?
There's one more, at least there's probably a lot more, but we're just kind of like, a couple of them on the topic we were just talking about is it provides kind of mental and physical stimulation, which overall enriches their lives. We know lots of Facebook posts and all about like enrichment and ways to, keep their brains going and all that. And that's what it is.
But there is a suitable dog sport for every single kind of energy level. Yeah. And, if your dog is an old dog, then maybe, pick a sport that's kind of not as physically demanding as agility,
but
right?
It's the same as you as the handler. If you are not, if you can't run, and I'm not saying you need to be able to run with agility, but it helps. So it's like, you can do slower sports like scent hurdle, for example. That's
Yeah.
something like flyball, but with scent. It's not as fast paced as flyball is. And yeah, that leads right into the next kind of section of the dog sports
So,
is go ahead.
I forgot what the question
That's
was.
fine.
The question
I know,
was,
I remember because we brought it up a few times, but it's
how do we know what sports to pick?
What sport is right for your dog? And then your dog, and I guess we're going to add, and you as the owner, handler, whatever you want to call it. And it's just it's knowing your dog. It's knowing what your dog can do, can't do. If your dog is not a swimmer at all, dock diving is not for them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big one. I mean, most of the other sports, I guess a lot of dogs don't know how to fetch and retrieve. Disc might not be then for you kind of thing.
I mean, it depends what your dog is motivated by too, right? If your dog just genuinely doesn't care about a disc, then maybe disc is not for you. And that's okay. There's so many other sports you can pick.
And so that goes on with the dog's skills. Like, what is their skill set? What are they good at? What are they not good at?
Yeah. Although I do believe that you can pretty much teach anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true.
It just takes patience and practice. You know, that there's dachshunds that do agility and you just wouldn't think that they would, but they do. Yeah. And it's like sometimes I don't think we should look at dogs' abilities because they could do more. Like they have potential.
Yeah, and especially if you start when they're young.
Unless, they're completely broken, then fair enough.
Well, yeah, and you got to remember, be aware of injuries.
Yeah.
And make sure everything is done safely. Just because you want to do it and your dog loves it, they'll still love it if they're injured.
Yeah.
And they'll just limp every fifth step, but you
safety first.
And you won't realize
Always.
that kind of thing. So that's a big one. And then like you were talking earlier, it's their activity level. Like any dog with any activity level can do dog sports. And as we said, rally obedience, and we'll get into these. That's a very basic, low energy. It's obedience, but in order. Again, we'll talk about it, but it doesn't really matter. You don't need a border collie to do dog sports.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess we should probably also say when we say dog sports, it's not like humans, it's not like high intense. It's not like you're playing, hockey, football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, American football, English football. Golf is not a very active sport. So it's like the difference of humans, swimming is a very high, like you got to be pretty fit as a human. But for dog sports, you don't. Like you can do the high energy agility, duck diving, which is like jumping and swimming, or you can do conformation, rally obedience. Very
but that's
low
actually quite
things.
interesting about looking at the energy level of the dog. If you think about a greyhound and a whippet, they are known to be the laziest dogs in a dog kingdom, right? But there are racing dogs. Yeah. And it's crazy how that happens.
That's so true.
I guess they're just saving all the energy.
I think they're more, I mean, we don't have one, but we imagine they're more bursts of energy. Yeah. We'll actually have a guest who has a bunch of whippets shortly. So maybe that's something we'll have to ask her.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so I'm more curious.
Yeah, I've read that today. It was very interesting.
That's
Whippets just like snooze all day, apparently. So
we'll find out. We're going to ask that if I can remember.
What else should you consider when looking to get into dog sports?
Yeah, so I guess a really important one, this is more you as the owner, the handler, is the amount of time you have to devote to the training. For example, as we talked about flyball, it took a year, a year. Now, it wasn't every day. Well,
and we
was
actually
classes.
built stuff, right?
Yeah.
To have at home so we can practice.
We went to the team practices, not all of them. Some of them we couldn't make. And she wasn't old enough to compete last year, so we kind of didn't put a little bit on the back
pedal.
Yeah, back. I don't know what the saying is.
Burner.
It wasn't, the back burner. But how much time do you have? And how willing are you to learn and teach and work with your dog? Like you said, we built jumps. We built a flyball box with, not fully functional, but to teach her how to do the turn and all of that. Agility, we bought agility poles for her to practice. Yeah. So we had jumps, and that's us though.
Yeah. That's us. I know that obviously I go to nearly all classes that we have with Maple, But I know my own abilities. And like when we did agility and I tried doing the course with her, I was getting so confused about all these turns. And I'm like, so I can't remember things because that's just not how my brain works. So if it was me, I wouldn't be able to actually do agility with her. I mean, I could, but I guess like, that's how much time do you want to devote? And I would have to spend a long time to be able to remember all this.
And that's the thing that's hard.
And things. So I was like, do you know what? You are so much better at this than I am. You take the lead.
I mean, that's the good thing about us is you know, we both love doing dogs. We're both very active in Maple's life. And that's something that I've noticed. And I think if you're listening to this and you are married, you have a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever, get them involved.
Yeah.
And I get so together. Like, it just frustrates me when I see these people at dog sport events and it's just the wife. Or it's just to be honest, it's mostly just the wife. I'm not going to say it's just the husband because I think there's only one time I've ever seen.
I don't know why
the husband was there. The wife came for one of the classes. I think it was a flyball class. But like, if you're listening to this and your husband is not involved, get them to listen to this. Get involved. As a male, it's competitive. It's fun. We grew up with sports. You know, guys just love that. And that's what it is.
I don't understand why are men not in that world. It's so much dominated by women. Yeah. But I guess, I don't know, maybe the men are just at work.
I don't know.
Making the dough.
I don't know, maybe. But it's just, and that's something that I guess, which sport is right for my dog and you is what are you good at? So it's the same with like flyball. Flyball is like pretty intense, fast-paced. Remember I was talking to you about like, Maple's starting and I have to like time when to let her go and how far away to be. And you're just like, what? How do you even do that?
Yeah, like
I was like, I don't know, but it's exciting.
How do you like pick the distance, and then how can you know?
We got like coach, like you know the
how
the
do you know how fast Maple will decide to run to then cross the line?
And it's trial and error, but
it's like gambling.
Yeah, and that's what I like. But
it would stress me out so much that I would probably break down
and not enjoy it. But then it's the same thing. So the slower things like rally, obedience, and scent work, like.
I love rally.
I would like to see Maple, like I would be excited watching her, but it's just too slow.
I love doing tricks, rally, scent.
Yeah.
I love watching her work with scent.
So we have a dog that pretty much can do all of it. Some of it she doesn't enjoy as much, like disc is not.
It's not her thing.
But we didn't really start doing disc until 6 months ago. And it was something, and this is something you got to keep in mind. It was something I really wanted to do.
Yes.
More than her. And although she could learn, she just doesn't care about a disc.
She doesn't have that drive towards it.
It's because she loves a ball too much. So you'll play with a disc, and after a couple minutes, she'll be like, okay, where's the ball now?
Yeah.
And we can completely get the ball out of her life, but we know how much she loves it. It helps with flyball.
I think that will be quite mean.
Yeah, so we've just kind of, the next dog we get, I want to like focus on disc, to be honest.
The next dog will be the disc dog. Yeah.
So
they will never see a ball in their life. Yeah. It'll be just disc from day one.
Yeah, and then that's kind of most of it. I guess another one is like the heritage of your dog. Like you said, a bloodhound would be very good at scent work.
I mean, that's very important, I think, because, you know, dogs were bred for a specific reason. Yeah. Usually, right?
Yes.
So like these dogs, if they were bred well, hopefully, they will have the natural instincts to do certain things. Yeah. So it's just important to give them the opportunity in our human life to express these instincts in a healthy, controlled, and fun manner. Because otherwise, like...
Yeah.
Do you know, there would be something missing in their life kind of thing. And maybe they could become destructive and do things that you don't want them to do because they don't have that outlet to put their instincts into work, right? For instance, obviously doing herding dogs.
Yes, exactly. Like we wouldn't put Maple in that as a duck toller. And that's a thing. And there's a lot of sports and it's not meant for you, but like, there's just so many options. You should just,
A bloodhound would probably be very good at scent.
Yeah.
Any hound really would probably excel in those sports. It doesn't mean that
they might not be they probably won't be good disc dogs jumping up, catching a Frisbee. You know what I mean?
But the thing is that there are beagles, for instance, a hound, you would expect them to be very good at scent. But I have spoken to people who are like, do you know what, my beagle's just not really interested in it.
Our guest about agility, she has beagles. And so
it happens. Yeah. It's a fluke, right? Yeah. But maybe that beagle, like maybe the talent lays somewhere else and that's okay. So yes, you have to look at the heritage and you have to explore their skills within that area, what were they bred to do, but also don't just stick to that.
Don't get tunnel vision where that's all they can do. Try them out. There's a lot of, at least here in Calgary, and I imagine most cities, they have facilities that have like a try it all class where, over the 6 weeks or whatever you have, maybe where you live, you just each day or each week or whatever, you get to try a different sport just to see and that's exactly how we learned about sports we never thought we would have done. Yeah. Because we just tried it and it was like, oh, Maple's pretty well. It was also because Maple was naturally good at it, so I was like, she like going over the jumps.
We didn't know what to do because the dog sport world is so overwhelming.
It is, and
there's
it's very
so much
small. You don't know it exists, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Is just I think last night is you don't know if you say go to a training class, say you take obedience training or puppy classes, and if that's all they do. You don't know that these other things exist. So when we took obedience classes, it was at a facility that does everything else. Well, not everything else, but like agility and flyball and all that. So you go to the facility for the obedience class and you see all of this agility equipment and all of that. And you're like, oh, you can do that here too. It kind of
sparks your brain, right? Like, oh, maybe this is something we could try. Yeah. And then you start researching.
And if you don't know that exists. And that's what I mean. Like, just look it up. Do your research.
That's the thing. Like, sometimes people choose a trainer that only does, they only deal with certain problems within a dog or they only deal with obedience. And then they don't really expose you to the idea of these fun activities you can do with your dog.
And they love it. It's crazy. And again, actually just another quick example of, doesn't matter the dog, we had the agility class with a Shih Tzu. Was it a little Shih Tzu?
Yeah, a little Shih Tzu.
Just like the cutest little thing.
As well.
Like just little tiny hop over the jump and hop over the jump.
And you know what? It's so freaking adorable. Yeah. And I love seeing small, tiny dogs that are not meant for agility doing agility.
Just like there's this is for performance dogs, but there's a little Pomeranian as well, a tiny little thing that's doing the weave poles, just like circling over, you know what I mean?
And they're loving life, and it's like the best day ever for them. And it's just incredible to see a handler who doesn't care about everyone else's opinion.
And so that goes on what sport is right for my dog? You don't know.
Yeah.
There's some that are, there's some that aren't.
Before we move on to talking about individual dog sports, I want to ask you a question because obviously there will be people out there who will say to us, okay, dog sports sounds fun, bonding activities, great, but it's expensive. What would you say to that?
Too bad. You have a dog. No. You know what? Everything in life is expensive. It's not really. When you actually break it down on how, a class and what you can do is no more expensive than anything else you do. Don't go to Starbucks and get your coffee. If you have, it's a lot cheaper than kids sports. I remember I actually asked some people about how much they're like baseball costs and dance and
so how much did she say that it was like for the kids?
Well, okay, now this is in Canada. So baseball wasn't so bad, but baseball is only like 3 months. I think she pays like $300 a season, plus their equipment and all of that.
Yeah.
Ice hockey, ridiculously $10,000 a year or something crazy. I think for dance for her daughter, it was $2,000 or $3,000 for the year. So it's
in comparison, I think, to kids sports. Yeah. I think.
You don't really need any. You don't need equipment for the most part. A lot of sports you can't practice at home, or you don't have the space. And so it's not that. everything in life can be expensive, but what's important to you? People buy expensive cars when they don't need it. And it's something that you'll realize once you start and you have so much fun doing it, you will find the money for that.
Yeah.
So instead of wasting money on toys that they destroy in 5 seconds or things like stuffed animal toys that they have that they play with for 10 minutes so they never use again, put that towards dog sports, you know, and you don't have to do it all the time. Like we try to do a couple classes a year, you know, depending on how much time we have. Some sports are a lot more expensive than others. Also, when it comes to like competition, how far do you want to
How far? Yeah, but like that's the thing. You have a choice, right? And also with dog sports, like it's different because you are involved as well.
Yes.
So it's not as if you just put your kid in a sport and you leave, or like you just
them off and pick them up.
Yeah, and you're just watching from the sidelines. It's not like that. It's kind of you are investing. Like I see it as an investment.
Yeah,
because you're investing in your dog and in the relationship that you have.
And most dog sports, like we were talking about, the valuable skills. Teaching your kid to play baseball doesn't really, for the most part, other than like teamwork, give them skills outside of baseball.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
It gets them to make friends, I guess.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. So what dog sports do, and again, it just, you can spend as much or as little as you want. Disc, you got to buy some like Frisbees, not crappy plastic cheap ones, but some nice ones. That, you know what I mean?
I don't think it's as expensive as people make it out to be.
It's not. And although it seems like it is.
We pay what, like $250, maybe $300 for 6-week course.
Yeah, Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars. So if you break it down over
hours.
6, like
it works out to like $30 or something an hour.
Yeah,
which is not much when they provide all of the equipment for you for the most part.
For an instructor to teach you skills.
Yeah, exactly. Which private training probably costs more. Daycare costs more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like that. Well, no, daycare doesn't because it's for the day. But it's just one of those things that if it's important enough to you, which it should be because it's a lot of fun, it's really not that bad. And if you don't want to compete at a really high level where you got to spend, you don't have to.
You can just rent out the space like we do sometimes, right? Like we don't compete at agility yet.
No, still practicing.
But we do rent out the space, and it's what, $20, 20 Canadian dollars to rent out the whole
for an hour.
Space?
Well, I mean, there could be up to like 4 dogs, but we got lucky and no one else registered, so we got it all for ourselves. So we lucked out there. Otherwise, you'd pay $20.
And you can use all of the agility equipment and just practice and have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
$20. Like,
so you're right. I mean, that's a good question, but I think it just depends on, you know, it shouldn't depend. As long as your dog's having fun, you don't have to go crazy and overboard. You do a couple sports over a year, a couple competitions. It's barely anything, you know what I mean? And the value you get for the money you spend is so much more. It's one of those things. It's not like some other things where you go and buy that new laptop, new phone. Let's use phone because people buy phones every 2 years. Or you spend $1,500 on. Wait a year. You know how much $1,500 can get you in dog sports? Years worth. You can buy your own official agility equipment for that much money.
That's true.
That's kind of the thing. So, yeah.
So, okay. Sorry,
I got pretty heated because, people.
Money should not be a problem.
Well, we're talking about
get your dog working. Get them to work to make the money for the dog sports.
But it was our whole thing that the average person spends like $20 a month on their dog, which I think is stupid. Like, don't get a dog if you're only going to spend $20 a month on feeding and toys and treats.
So bad.
Anyway.
But anyway, that's another debate for another time.
Every time we have an episode, we always come up with something that's like, oh, we need to talk about that.
Yeah. How much money do you need to make to have a dog?
I guess, it's
a good episode.
It depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Don't get a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, let's move on to, I guess we can discuss the most popular dog sports that there are.
So we're going to,
So let's start with the first one.
Yeah, so we'll just do a quick overview. As we said, we want to interview experts.
Yeah. to like go deeper into each sport. But let's start with the most popular dog sport out there.
Agility, I think. At least here. Well, for sure here.
For sure.
So agility is, and I think it is because it's the most well-known. It's the things you see on TV. Even if you don't like interest in it, everyone knows what it is. And so agility is...
when you say, I do agility with my dog, no one's like looking at you like you're weird yet.
Exactly.
They kind of intrigued because they understand what it is.
Yeah. So in case you don't know what agility is, which is fine, it's pretty much the obstacle course. Okay, so a kind of dog directed around, like you direct your dog around an obstacle course.
Yeah.
So you see it when they go over the jumps, through a tunnel, through like a little
jumps,
little
weaves.
box, weave poles. So that's what agility is. It's an
teeter.
Yeah, the teeter.
Yeah. I can't
like
pronounce
the A-frame,
that.
which is just like the triangle thing.
Yeah.
Like the boardwalk, which is like the narrow walk.
And it's pretty much like good for all the dogs.
Yeah, any dog.
As long as they're healthy and like physically healthy, any dog can do this.
But agility takes a lot of work. I think to compete, there's a lot
for a human,
involved.
For sure.
Because you don't go and learn all the obstacles. You start with like beginner, which is just learning the jumps.
And you have to like, when you start, you have to run.
Well, you don't have to. So I think when we talked the episode about the agility, she was mentioning there was a lady. I think it was a lady that had like a broken leg or something like that, and she was able to just stand in the middle of the course and just like direct her dog.
Yeah.
Now that takes a lot of work.
Exactly. That takes a lot of work. But like when you first start, though,
you have to be able to like keep up with your dog.
Direct your dog. Exactly.
So if you have a little Shih Tzu, you probably don't have to run as fast as if you have a Border Collie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maple runs so fast, like. I would probably puke.
So agility is the first one. It is the most popular. It is fun. It was not something I thought I wanted to do.
Well, I didn't want to do it because it's just such a popular sport. And I'm like, I don't want to do something that's popular. I want to be different.
I know.
But then we saw the trials at the dog show and I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked. So much fun. Like it looks so much fun.
But it looks easier than it is too, because there's a lot more than just jumping over. Like as you get more advanced, as we were talking about, you have to go around the backside of the jump and then make them come back towards you or whatever. And so it's like understanding commands. But
I would definitely recommend agility to like anybody.
Yeah. It would be fun to try. Most places have like a foundation or intro class or whatever, and just see if you like it. See if your dog likes it.
So I guess we
have a full episode on agility. That was the last. Yeah, that was the last episode, wasn't it?
You should check it out for sure.
Yeah. So if agility is of any interest, we had a very qualified agility trainer. And she doesn't have your normal dogs either. She does have a Border Collie, but she didn't start that. She has a Beagle. So a dog you wouldn't think would do agility. So that's why she was a great example of, I have a star athlete, Border Collie, Aussie, whatever, so.
But like, it doesn't matter. No, it can be any dog. You can do it for fun or you can compete. And usually you compete for speed, right? That's the only.
I think it is. Yeah. Without making any errors. If your dog makes a mistake, then you lose time.
Yeah.
So it is more of a
speed game,
obstacle course.
Speed obstacle. Okay.
And then as you progress, the obstacles get harder.
Yeah.
So you can.
What's the next sport?
So another sport is herding. So this is more for herding dogs. Now this is one where it's a bit more specific. You wouldn't have a toy dog herding sheep. So herding is So it's it's best suited for. Is it
possible?
I wouldn't feel safe, to be honest. So it is best suited for herding breeds. And so it teaches your dog control and how to like work with livestock.
Yeah. So basically herding is a dog running around a field full of cattle or sheep or whatever it is.
Grouping them up, directing them somewhere. Every movie you've watched with a farm.
I think the dog has to also, it teaches them obedience because they have to listen to the handler's instructions of how to.
So that one's very interesting.
Get control over.
Yeah. So again, that's more of a Border Collie or Aussie. And actually, it's funny that we said that. I was talking to somebody who has a Border Collie Aussie Shepherd mix, and he was just saying, he's like, "Oh, what do you?" Actually, no, this is a good example. I think I told you this the other day.
That's a good story.
His dog is 2 years old, And I was talking about Flyball because we had our first
it's
tournament.
a Border Collie and Aussie mix.
So literally 2 herding dogs.
dog, yeah.
And he was telling me, he's like, what do you think? Those dog's 2 years old. What do you think about like, making him work? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I don't know. Like herding. That was the example. Because we were talking about Flyball and he's like, oh, maybe get into it. He's like, because he said, because my girlfriend is worried that my dog is too domesticated because he gets to sleep on the bed and lie on the couch, that he's going to get injured if he goes and herds. It's just like,
it's a dog and it's a herding dog.
So if your dog is 2 or 3 or 4, they can still do it.
Like a 2-year-old Border Collie.
Yeah. I hope
if
you listen to this,
dog.
I'm not making fun of you. I just thought it was quite funny, but
it's a young dog. It's not an old dog. It's not too domesticated. It's still a dog. Let that dog be a dog.
Yeah.
Let them do what they were bred to do.
Yeah, so. Maybe
they're not going to be very good at it, but the instructor will be able to give you pointers of how to improve and stuff, right? Because I can't imagine that they're going to be like pros at this, although you never know. The instincts could just kick in and they'll know what to do, right? But try it for sure. Like,
so herding's a big one. Again, it's more of that's a specific breed and a specific location. If you don't have any places,
access to like a farm,
if you are in New York City, I don't know why you would have a Border Collie if you lived in New York City, but hey, whatever. You might not have the place to do herding. So
So next sport, please.
So the next one, I guess, is a little bit opposite of the last two. So this is more scent or nose work. I guess different names depending on where it is. And we talked about this a little bit. And so scent is dogs use their nose to find a specific scent.
Yeah.
And when you do training, it's in like boxes. Eventually, I guess when you compete, they just put like on something. Yeah. Whether it's like a post or whatever.
Yeah, I think the dog basically is exposed to a certain essential oil smell.
Yes.
And they have to be able to mark where the scent is.
So it's not just being able to find it and be like, cool, because you would know. It's teaching them to have like some cue. So whether they sit, whether they touch their nose on it, but like hold it. If they just touch it, you don't know if they're sniffing, but they like hold their nose.
Yeah.
We only just did it just like the try it all class. We haven't fully got into scent, but we did learn.
I really want to do it.
We'll get into it. It's be very interesting. So that one's good. That one's very slow. It's not, and that's what I mean. When you think of like any if you dog, think like, and that's what I mean when we say sports, we don't mean like high energy, fast athleticism. This is more.
It's like mentally stimulating more than anything, for a dog to be able to use the nose to find a scent. Like, one, is incredible. Like, it's not something a human brain can even comprehend of how they're doing it.
Exactly.
And you're going to learn all these things, how, like, for instance, a draft or a wind, like, it takes the smell a certain way, like how the smell travels.
But it's interesting to watch them when they, like, will sniff and they'll go right by and then they'll just, like, head will just snap and be like, no, it's over there. And it's like, how do you know that?
Like, it's just so fascinating. I love practicing like scent work on like a home level.
Well, it's just hiding things.
Yeah, hiding things and getting her to find things. Like, not even treats, but things like her bowl or like a specific toy.
Yeah.
Like, she's able to find a toy that I'm asking her to find. Like,
how do you even know what that smells? Yeah, it's crazy. And so, so that's a very popular one. I think that's something, that's very accessible, very easy to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't involve anything crazy. Well, I know we haven't done it yet, but that's definitely something we're going to do for her. So that's sport number 3. Yeah.
Sport number 4.
So this one is...
These are just the top most popular sports.
Yeah, there might be some we missed, and that's fine. These are just...
so many.
So the next one is like lure, like coursing or fast cat. Has different names, I think, depending where you are, which is more of a speed thing. So dogs are not really trained, but I guess trained to chase
They have like a natural instinct, like a chase drive, right?
So they chase this thing down a wire. So whether it's like a
mechanical lure that's attached. So what happens basically is that dog will use the natural instincts of a chase drive to catch that thing. So actually the lure is meant to represent like a rabbit.
Yeah.
Right? Like a prey and a predator kind of situation. But obviously they don't use a rabbit in that situation. They use a white plastic bag.
So an example of this, if you ever watched The Simpsons with Santa's Little Helper, the dog that's in The Simpsons. This is a weird example, but I just remembered it. Or just dog racing in general. They have like, a stuffed rabbit that's on like the track on the inside, and then they release the dogs and they're meant to chase this like rabbit thing that's on the track that's going around. And that's what it is in a sense. But instead of going around a track, it's kind of just a straight line.
So, what the lure coursing is actually, it changes directions.
Oh, okay.
And it can have jumps sometimes too. Okay. So it can be almost like an obstacle course at the same time. But lure coursing, it replicates literally the movement of a rabbit. So it can go from side to side, up and down. And, the dog is timed. How quickly it can catch the prey, whereas the
Fast cat or sprinters. I think it's called sprinters in Canada.
It's which just is just
straight, and it's just a time thing. It's like doing the 100-meter dash, in whatever track and field. Yeah, and that's what it is. Just timing to see how fast your dog can go.
Yeah. So you can probably take like classes to do that too, but it's kind of, I think you can just enter the trial without even learning how to do it, because in reality, all your dog has to do is just be able to chase the lure.
I think it's learning a little bit, because I think maybe they would change the speed of it. Because if it goes too fast, because it would have to go way faster for like a greyhound or a whippet or whatever. Or a border collie compared to a...
do like a trial, to see how fast your dog runs.
Again, this is just general overviews, because a lot of some of these sports we haven't done. It's just we've learned about them because it's something that we've looked into. But and again, it's just making you aware. So if it does kind of intrigue you a little bit.
But it's awesome. Like you can check just how fast your dog is. I think the speed of the dog is divided by their height or something like that to work out like a point system or whatever. I don't know exactly, but I think it's something to do with the speed, like the time it takes and the height of the dog.
We'll eventually have episodes on all of these in depth.
Yeah.
Just, we could be completely wrong.
But like I want to do that with Maple too, because she's super, she's stupid fast.
Yeah. But after doing Flyball with her, though, there's dogs that are way faster. But I'm just saying, for her size, she's pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I can't, you can't compare her to a border collie.
I just want to see, because it'll be fun to try something different.
Another dog sport is just trick training.
Yes.
And so this is not competing. This is not, I guess it can lead to other things like performance and other things like that. But it's teaching them tricks. And I don't mean paw. Sorry to say, you go any pet store, paw. Yeah, that's a trick. Fair enough. Beginner or novice or whatever it's called. Actually, I think it's more
novice tricks are like sit down, stay. The basic things, right?
But it can get pretty complicated. Oh yeah. Like shy when they cover their paw over their eyes.
Yeah. Bring the beer out of the fridge. And,
like grab something and bring it to you. Open the door, close the door. I don't know, those kind of things. Yeah. Crossing their paws. We've just been trying to do our expert ones. I'm drawing a blank now. And some agility moves are
the chew trick is an expert trick as well.
So that's like when you as a human sneeze and the dog will grab a tissue and give it to you.
Yeah.
That's a trick.
And it's so much fun to just like, I love getting trick titles, because we get a list of tricks and it's basically like a tick sheet. And we can like, okay, she can do that one. She can do that one. She can't do that one. Let's practice it. Let's see if she can do it. And it's just, it gives you that structure almost to teach your dog something different, or maybe focus on one thing. Yeah. And it's awesome just seeing that progress. And it gives you something to do, right? Especially during winter time.
And it's a good way to just keep them engaged, especially if you are out for a walk and there's a big dog coming that's a bit reactive or whatever.
Yeah.
You can pull them aside and like, cool, do some spins, do like center, middle, your paws on your feet, you know.
Yeah.
Little things jump up. Like a lot of people love that jump into your arms or whatever.
Yeah. I use tricks as a way of like distracting Maple sometimes when, like, for instance, you go to the shop and I'm just with her and, you know, she can like stay there and be calm for a little bit. But after a while, she gets kind of restless, like, you know, and starts whining like, oh, let's go. I want to go. She wants to move constantly and be doing things. So for us, like having that bank of tricks up our sleeves, I guess, we can just constantly be able to kind of pull her attention and be able, okay, focus on me. Let's do something fun together.
Yeah, and any dog can do tricks, you know, and some will learn faster. Again, this goes back to that Pomeranian. That was a performance dog. That's what tricks are. And it was so interesting watching this little Pomeranian up on its two back feet, you know, walking on the 2 feet, like behind the handler. Yeah. You know, it's not a dog you would think.
And it's also impressive, not gonna lie, to get your dog to do some fun tricks. Yeah. You know, you go to a pet store and they say, oh, can she do paw? I'm like, she can do an orbit.
Orbit, that's a super fun, you know, where they like, go backwards but around you. Like that's,
let me show
people
you.
Are like, I remember we were at puppy class and we saw the orbit for that. I was like, that's so cool. And now we're like, that wasn't that hard.
Easy.
Yeah, I mean, it took a bit of time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I go out in a park and I practice tricks in a park with Maple to kind of, you know, different environment. Yeah. It's different for dogs. And neighbors watch me. Yeah. And then they pull me inside and they were like, oh, I was watching you train your dog.
So funny.
Like, she's so good. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, and that's all it is. And it's just something you build up over time. And there's so many different ways to learn different tricks.
But the thing is, all of these sports as well, like a dog who's trained and who is able to use their mind over and over again, like they're gonna live such a like long and fulfilled and just wonderful life. Yeah. It's just known fact.
And then they're tired out.
Dogs that we see competing in sports, they don't move like they're 10. They could be honestly 5. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's just like, do you know what? I want that in my dog. I don't want my dog to be 10, 13 and look like that dog that's 10 and 13.
Getting through life. And there's more than just sports, like obviously that. But it's one of those things that helps. Just like humans. You sat in an office desk all day, every day, and you never moved, and you wheeled your chair to your car, then you sat in your car.
Age a lot quicker.
You'll have aches, pains, but
it's the same with humans if you don't use your brain, right? Like older people, they retire, they stop using their brain, and your brain just naturally deteriorates a lot faster. And it's to do with age and with the fact that you just stop using your brain, right?
So kind of went off a little bit off topic there, but it's okay.
Well, no, it's to do with like sports and trick training, right?
Yeah, so I guess the next one we'll do, which kind of is just trick training, but at the next level is freestyle. So this is when you see like it's a choreographed kind of dance trick routine.
So it's like, you have to learn tricks first
and so
to then put it into.
It's just a bunch of tricks in an order that just kind of flow. Yeah. And so if you ever see performance dogs or on like America's Got Talent, whatever, the dogs are doing cool things, or here in Canada, there's the super dogs. Yeah. I think the US has like Canine Star. I don't know. There's a lot of them, but that's what freestyle is just learning to do. And as the handler, you're not just standing there and being like, sir, spin up.
Yeah.
Down.
You have to be entertaining.
If they spin, you spin. Yeah. You get them, you lie down, they jump over you, whatever.
Reads your body language as well. Like so half the time, you don't even have to say what you want them to do. You just do a cue and your dog just knows their routine of how to follow.
And so that's the thing. Your dog so Maple's, getting really good at tricks. I would not be good at freestyle.
You dance like you love dancing.
I know, but I'm so stiff. I remember I want to teach her to like jump onto my feet and you're like, you can't even like, where you like lie on your back and you put your legs
straight up your feet.
I was like, I couldn't even make my feet like flat like this. If you're watching on the video, like a hand can't even do that. So I couldn't even. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I can't even. They're like this. Like,
Yeah,
not
or
even
like
45 degrees.
Move your
like
foot,
30 degrees.
like put them straight.
I can't. I'm too stiff. And yeah, so that's the thing. But it's like it's cool things. It's like them, making like a hoop through your legs, and they kind of jump and like weave through your legs that way instead of normal way.
But that's the thing, right? Like you have to enjoy doing that choreography with your dog.
And when we learned about like performing and we had the little segment.
And be able to.
We had this segment about the freestyle, and I was like, yeah, like I don't really care too much. Like I could do it, but like it's not really exciting.
Well, truthfully, it is mostly women doing it.
We'll get into another sport in a second, but you can also do that with disc. You can do disc freestyle, which is like a routine that involves a Frisbee.
Yeah.
And a little bit of freestyle. So instead of them just catching Frisbee, it's them weaving through your legs a few times and then catching.
Yeah.
Jumping over your back and catching. Jumping off your back and catching.
If you have ever seen like a dog performance of any kind, there would be disc freestyle performer on there.
Yeah.
For sure.
But that kind of ties into freestyle a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so since you have kind of mentioned disc freestyle, why don't you talk a little bit more about the disc sports?
Yeah, so disc, Frisbee, disc dog, a lot of kind of different names about it. So that is Frisbee, but as games, kind of competitive games where you throw a Frisbee and there's certain objectives you got to hit, whether it's throwing it in a bunch of different squares, like which are far away that are worth different points. It's teaching your dog to, catch a disc, maybe drop it where it is, and then go horizontal to another square to catch a disc instead of coming back to you. So that's working with a handler a lot. So then, you need to know, okay, this is worth 1 point. There's a lot of different games. We only know kind of the basics of it because we haven't actually competed in it.
Yeah.
Super fun. It's like competitive, but it's more like casual, fun competitive.
Yeah.
There's no like big regulation.
You need to learn how to throw a disc.
Yeah, ultimately.
I think that's the major thing, right?
And your dog needs to learn how to catch a disc in a sense. And then, as we'd mentioned with freestyle, that's just, so it's like disc and tricks meant
I think there's
well.
disc and then there's freestyle. Yeah. Like you need to know disc first
so
to then do
disc dog, freestyle. I think is what a lot of people say. Like, I have a disc dog. And it's not just my dog can play Frisbee. Disc dog is more my dog can play Frisbee.
In like an obedient way. Almost, right? But also, like distance as well, right?
So it's distance, it's objectives, it's to get them to catch them in certain areas, maybe drop it in a certain area, maybe bring it back to you.
Yeah, so it's not like just mindless throwing of the disc.
You as a handler have to move as well. Sometimes you throw from one square, you got to go to the next square.
There's like a strategy to this.
It is.
It's a strategic disc play.
I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because that's what they teach you in your courses is the strategies behind the games. Yeah, you can understand the games, but how to do them better.
Yeah.
So that's disc. Again, any dog can realistically, you can get those like floppy
the
fabric
thing is
discs,
like your dog has to have that drive to chase the disc, to be interested in a disc.
And to return it or be able to drop it
and to listen to you. Like there's so many things involved in every single sport. And like the obedience is like the foundation to, I think, all the sports.
Yes, of course.
Right? Yeah. It's like the obedience, and then there's all the other sports on top of it.
Just basic obedience and trying to do sports.
You can't.
Like
you wouldn't be able to compete in anything because your dog wouldn't listen, right? And like you see that sometimes in agility where a dog just kind of whizzes around the course and doesn't listen, and they just will not start because they can't focus on what they're doing. So
that's that
rally
one.
Obedience. Let's go to rally
obedience. So rally obedience. Well, I think you got to answer that. Rally obedience is your
Rally obedience, I think, is one of like the oldest sports in a dog world, and it makes sense because it is such a foundation to everything. I think rally should be like a complementary sport to every single other sport.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Like if you are doing, your agility or whatever, like really high intense sport, do a rally at the same time because it will like bring your dog back and really work on like the mental skills and like the
Obedience
to be
skills,
able to like listen to you, to heal to you, right? So basically, for those people who don't know what rally obedience is, it's a course where you work with your dog, and you have stations where you have these signs at each station which tell you what to do, what task to perform at this station, which is like an obedience task. So whether it's, you sit, you stay, you're down, weaving around the poles, what else is there, right? There's so many things, like certain turns.
Certain turns, making your dog stay and you walking around them.
So
like
it's like pretty
skills.
Simple things, but your dog has to be able to do it mostly in a heel position. It has to be done fast as you can as a team. So you're competing on a time, and they have to do it without doing any faults as well. I think there's certain amount of faults that they can do.
It's obedience, but getting them to do, because every dog can just sit, get a treat, and and you're
not allowed to use treats as well.
So it's getting them to do 10 or 15 different obedience tasks in a row, without rewarding them. Which is hard for a lot of dogs, because they're like, I'm not going to listen to you anymore because I haven't got rewarded. And I think that's why it's so good. Is you're teaching your dog obedience skills without always reward. No, it doesn't mean you never reward your dog ever again after that.
And it's such a foundation to everything that you do with your dog, just in general life, right? Like for safety reasons, for instance, you are walking and then you crossing the road, so you stand there to see whether the cars are coming, and your dog will just sit next to you without being even asked to do it. They just sit because that's what they were taught to do. When you stand in one place, they sit. That's what rally teaches you, and it's for safety, and it's just like,
it's so good.
And it teaches your dog to listen to you without treats. So if anyone who's struggling with the fact that the dog isn't listening to you, only when you have treats,
or they're
they
like way too energetic because they just want to jump at your hand and take the treat out of your hand.
Go and try, the introduction to rally training or any other obedience training work. It will really make your dog mentally stable. It will just wind them down, and they will actually work really hard. Like, you think that they don't work hard because there's no high energy, running around, jumping through things and things like that. But because they're using their brain and they're really focusing on what they're doing, that's equally as tiring for them.
And in a strange place. So they're doing commands in a place that they're not familiar with.
And sometimes they're doing new commands that they were never used to, right? And then
you can compete with that too. Like you said, there's different levels where the commands get more complicated, and again, based on time. So it does have the competitive nature where you can get the titles and all of that as well.
I think honestly, every dog should do obedience, but doing rally obedience alongside any other sport, I think it's very beneficial. Okay.
So we'll move on to the next one, since you said that one, which is my favorite sport so far, which is flyball.
Right.
So flyball is an awesome sport.
So people will say, what is flyball, right? Because they will think of a flying ball.
Yeah, there's no flying ball. Well, I guess there technically could be if your dog didn't get it. But flyball is you can kind of explain it like a mixture of a drag race and a drag race and a relay race.
Right.
So it involves 4 jumps. So a dog would jump over 4 jumps, hit this box mechanism in a specific safe way that would trigger this ball to be released that they would catch. Again, it doesn't fly in the air. Their mouth should be right where the ball gets released. So they grab it and then they run back over the 4 jumps past the start line, and then the next dog goes.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, they're racing 4 other dogs, 10 feet away from them, doing the same thing at the exact same time.
So it's like teams racing against each other, right?
And so there's a lot involved with, your dog knowing to go over all the jumps, grabbing the ball and coming back.
Turn as well, it's so important, right?
And then them coming back without skipping jumps. It has to be safe
and fast, and that's what you learn when you do flyball classes, is that really good box turn, right?
And so that one's really good because it involves a lot of I mean, it's speed, but it's getting your dog to not take shortcuts. It's getting your dog to not chase another dog.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's like the incredible thing.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, there's teams of dogs that are running like literally next to each other. And your dog has to be composed enough and so focused on what they're doing and the job that they have to do to ignore everything else.
Yeah.
All the other dogs
and
running.
It's loud.
And
dogs
it's
are
loud
barking,
and it's
dogs
like
are,
high intensity kind of environment.
And when they finish and cross that line, they got to come back to you when the next dog literally runs right past them.
Yeah.
And they have to not turn around and want to go run and chase the other dog. They need to still come to you.
Yeah.
And they're not like, you don't have to, you don't go with them.
Yeah.
You literally send them and you pick them up
and
when they come back.
And you have to like trust your dog that they're going to do.
They might make mistakes, but just like any sport, doesn't really matter. And then I think it's the only sport that is a team sport that involve other dogs and other humans.
Yeah.
So you do work with 3 other people.
Yeah.
As a team.
As a team of dogs,
so
like different dogs with different handlers, but in a team.
Yeah,
right?
and then the time of all 4 dogs going is what matters. So just because your dog did it in 5 seconds and the other dog does it in 8 seconds, it's the overall score.
Overall time for the team,
for the
right?
team, that's where you get the point. So
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's very fast paced. Apparently a lot of guys like it because it is like racing.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, if you're a guy and you have a dog and you let your wife or spouse or girlfriend or whatever do all this stuff, check out Flyball.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work.
It's only because you want more boys on the team.
Yes, that's exactly why.
That's
we need more guys in this sport. Because we need more guys in all the sports, to be honest.
That's true.
But this is an easy one for guys to get into.
Yeah.
So.
But also with Flyball, it's important that your dog knows how to fetch a dead object.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because they're getting a ball that's not moving.
Yeah,
that's so true.
That was one of the things that we really struggled with at the start, but like she picked up on it pretty fast.
It's getting them excited about a ball that's not
moving. Like it's a dead object, and you have to go and get it. And like we practice so much,
so it takes a while on that one. And I think it's one. Yeah, I think it's one of the sports where they have like the oldest, they have to be like a certain age. A lot of sports have to be a certain age, but
because of
I think
the
it's
joints.
like on the,
it's very hard on the joints.
Well, it could be if you're not doing it safely, because like you said, there's dogs that do it and they're like 10
but
plus
like
years
agility,
old.
Right? Like
that's true. I don't know how they have to be to compete. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. It's very high intensity, which is what I think, and because of the box turn as well, I think that's probably why there's an age.
They have to be
there.
fully developed.
Yeah,
they're like muscles and bones and joints and all
which
that.
Which is fair. I think that's quite safe, right?
Yeah. So
okay,
we'll move on to the next one.
Next sport
what we'll do is dock diving. So dock diving is kind of what it sounds like. It's your dog jumping off a dock into water. If your dog goes to the lake and jumps off that dock into water, that's technically dock diving, but for fun. So it's the same thing. It's a certain pool length of a pool with a certain length of a dock. Your dog starts at one end, runs to the edge of the dock, jumps to get a certain distance. That's where they get their points, is how far they jump. When they land in the water. So that's regular dock diving. There's a couple other kind of games or whatever.
So there's hydro dash, which is how fast your dog can retrieve an object that is dead at the end of the pool.
So same thing. They run, jump as far as they can, grab the object, swim back.
It's kind of like a flyball, but in the water.
Yeah, in a sense it is. And And then the last one is air retrieve. So that's a distance and height. So it's the same dead object toy that's hanging above.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there is a specific height, how far above, but how far away it is. Your dog would start with just like a couple feet, grab it.
So your dog kind of has to jump up to retrieve the toy.
Yeah. And they have to be able to catch it or make it like knock it off of the little things that's attached to. And then it doesn't matter where they land in the water. It's where the toy sits.
That's where the distance is counted, right?
So that's a really fun. For us, that's a summer sport. Obviously, if you're in like
that's actually one of the sports that's seasonal, right?
Yeah, for us, of course.
Unless it's in like an indoor facility or if you live somewhere south that's really warm, doesn't have winter, then it could be a
So
year
that's
round,
one that we try to do. Actually, that's these pictures that we have behind us. These are both from dock diving.
Yeah.
Just to the one behind
We've
me.
only
If you're watching
competed
this,
so far. We have done a lot of sports learning wise, but we've only competed in dog diving and
now flyball.
Yes. So our dog's only 2, so let's give her credit.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Maple. Yesterday was her 2nd birthday. So it doesn't matter when you listen to this.
Birthday girl.
Yeah, she was the birthday girl. So if you listen to this episode a year from now, then, well, she's 3. So do the math on the date that this is. Well, no, I guess the date it was posted a couple days ago by the time this one goes live. But anyway.
Okay.
So just when you, it reminded me, we are excited. Okay.
Yeah.
We love her birthday.
You should celebrate your dog's birthday.
Yeah. So the next one we'll go on to is barn hunt.
Yes, barn hunt.
So barn hunt's a very interesting one.
It's very similar to like scent and Nosework, right? But the environment in which it happens, which is a barn.
Yes.
And the objective is to find a rat, right?
Yes.
Unless you're in Alberta, then the objective is to find a gerbil.
Because rats are like banned.
Yes.
And now when we say rat, doesn't mean it's running loose and they got to go catch it and kill it.
No, they go in like tubes,
Just
right?
like tube with air holes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the tube gets hidden somewhere in the hay. Well, I think the tubes are automatically in hay bales and then they just put the rats in them. I don't even know. Maybe they put the tube in.
No, how would that work?
That's true. Good point. Yeah, they would have to put the tube. The tube somewhere
in a tube.
We don't know what we're talking about. We haven't done it yet.
And then they hide the tube somewhere. And then what happens is how fast your dog can find those rats or gerbils. And they have to give like a cue and then you're meant to shout like rat or something.
Yeah,
right?
so that's where it kind of goes with like scent work where they, learn to cue when they find.
But I think there's like multiple rats like hidden at the same time.
I don't know. We will definitely have someone on that knows a lot about this.
It sounds really fun. I really want to try it. But I think we need to start with like the foundations of the Nosework, scent work to then build ourselves up for the rat.
I agree. And we're not saying you have to, but we already wanted to do scent work anyway.
Although, I don't know. Maple's like such a scaredy cat sometimes.
She would like go and hear it moving around in this tube and get scared and run away.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm curious, actually. I'm very curious how she would react to that. So we'll have to try it. But,
for sure.
Yeah, so that one's good. That one you can kind of do all year round. It's literally like it's mimicking a dog actually finding rats in a barn of a farm. That's literally what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
They're just not killing
and they're
the rat.
like not killing those animals or anything like that. They just give a cue to a handler that there's a rat over here. And then, I don't know, I think they like pull out the tube and show it that it's there or something. And that's how it works.
But so that's a really fun one to do.
Yeah.
If your dog loves to sniff and find things, that's probably one you should check out. Or if your dog's like, oh, my dog's really good at finding everything. Like, my dog can always find my dirty socks. Well, let's try barn hunt.
Exactly.
What I mean? But so
next sport.
The next one we have, which is something we kind of just learned that it was a name recently, only because we have a guest that will be coming on in the next few weeks or so, called like harness dog sports.
Yes.
So do you want to explain that one a little bit more? You've kind of...
well, I didn't know what the thing was.
We didn't know there was a term for it.
Yeah, like I knew of ski drawing because we have seen people doing it with their dogs, but like I didn't actually know that there was an umbrella term that has all these different sports within it, right? So it's basically any sport where you put a specific harness on your dog and a leash, probably like a sort of bungee leash almost, and then your dog is pulling you
on something.
on something.
So ski drawing.
Not necessarily.
Well, what is that? Because I never knew what that was. I had to look it up. What is ski drawing for people that don't know?
So
it's such a weird word.
It's where a dog or dogs, multiple ones. I don't know. I wonder if it matches with like the weight of a person.
Well, yeah, I think it does.
Like, I don't think a small dog can pull like a heavy person. So there needs to be a team of dogs that work together in order to pull you. Yeah. So it's a dog pulling you whilst you are on skis.
Okay, yeah. And so that's that one. And so the other harness dog sports is a sled. like a dog sled.
A sled,
A bike,
dog sledding.
a mountain bike style thing, but without pedals, which is weird. We only just saw a picture of that a couple days ago, and I was like, what? That's a thing?
Yeah.
It seems very, so I guess that's like the summer version of it. I mean, I imagine you have the break still.
It's so crazy how, like, you trust your dogs to, like, take you on.
No, well, it's not even that. It's also making sure you don't like run over your dog. Like that's the scary thing with a bike. I mean, we're going to learn a lot more about this when we have our guests. It seems like a lot of fun.
It seems like a lot of fun. It seems like a little bit like one of the like extreme sports almost. It has that flavor of extremity in it.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So yeah, like you have to be obviously pretty comfortable on a sled or on a bike that doesn't have pedals on it and things like that, right? But also one of the harness dog sports is Canine Cross, I think it's called.
Yep.
Where a dog is harnessed and you basically just running with your dog. Yeah. So that's one of the sports is running with your dog whilst they're harnessed. And sometimes so they can run beside you, or the dog sport, I think technically is when they pull you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
you are running.
Yeah, okay. Which will be hard because like some dogs are fast.
Yeah. It's like, how are you meant to keep up with your feet?
Yeah, but you're not fully keeping up. So you're like fighting their speed at the same time. You know, you're holding them back, but they're trying to speed you up.
Well, you could do that with like roller skates too. I wonder if that's going to become a sport, like roller skate drawing.
That's so true.
Roller drawing.
We should do that with Maple. Because it's not very hard with skate. I'll do it with Maple.
I'm not
You have to learn to be able to slow
Yeah.
down and stop
Yeah.
and not run her over.
Well, like we did dog sledding in Norway.
Finland,
not Norway. And yeah, it's that there's commands that you shout at your dog, right? And then there's the way you pull the handles or something
you're holding
to
it.
direct
No, but it's like leaning in when they're turning.
Yeah, that's the thing. You
and putting on the brakes
with your
to
body.
Like, if they go downhill, you gotta like brake so you don't smash into the back of them. And all while you're freezing, depending on how cold it is when you go. But
But it's actually very practical, you know, and very fun.
And a lot of people do it. It's a good way to exercise, especially for the winter if you live somewhere with snow. It's a good way to exercise your dog in the winter with the skijoring, the sled pulling, that kind of stuff, because they're running, they're outside.
Yeah.
Again, you're not doing it when it's minus 40 or whatever.
You don't have to do it competitively, and you could do it by yourself if you really wanted
friends,
to.
I know,
but I would probably recommend getting a dog trainer or someone who's experienced in doing this thing with their dog to teach you exactly what to do so that you don't hurt yourself or the dogs.
You don't want them pulling something that's too heavy and you don't realize, and now they have joint problems. And so that was a very interesting one. Well, we're going to have a guest on.
I'm really excited for that one.
In the future. So if you listen to this episode first, definitely check out that one. I don't know what it's going to be called. We'll figure that one out later. But
harness dog sports.
Yeah. Pretty much just search harness dog sports on our thing and you'll probably, it will either be in the title or the description. So you'll be able to find it in our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple.
But that's for the future. Yeah. Let's move on to the next dog sport.
So the next one is, now this one's, I don't really think it's a dog sport. You do.
I think it is because it's okay. So what is
it? So it's Conformation. So Conformation is I like, we were talking about it earlier and you said it's like a fashion show for dogs. Not really, but
it's a dog pageant.
Yeah. So it's when you have a purebred dog that gets judged against the breed standard.
Yeah.
With other dogs. So it's what you see at that's exactly what a dog show is Conformation. So that's the official term for it is Conformation, but it's dog shows.
So I think it's one of the few sports where it's limited only for purebred dogs.
Yeah.
And
Do you think
it's
Conformation
limited.
existed before Rally Obedience? I think it has. Because you said Rally Obedience is the oldest, but I think Conformation is older. I don't know. Sorry, it was just a thought. We don't know. We can look at it.
Throw me out now.
Sorry. So Conformation, why is that a dog sport?
Because I think it is because like you are learning a certain skills with your dog.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are people who have been telling me that Conformation actually it's very valuable because you're teaching your dog to like be composed, to walk a certain way around the ring, to be comfortable with someone, a stranger inspecting them, and they like inspect that dog. They like touch them up.
Yeah.
They touch the balls and everything.
Yeah. Well, and they open their mouths and check
open
their teeth.
the mouth and eyes and everything, right? So there are some skills there, right? And you do earn points and titles.
I guess you're right. So as soon as you said that, and we had this discussion, normally most people think sports are competitions where you win things.
Yeah.
It's literally the point of Conformation is to get points and titles. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so you're right. Now that your 2 minutes of explaining it makes sense. I forgot about them being able to, you know, be handled by a stranger and heal nicely and get their teeth looked at without biting your hand. You know what I mean? Like, and all doing it in style where you get those points, you know, just because your dog can be handled doesn't mean they're going to win.
Yeah, because maybe you are bad at handling your dog. Like, I don't know exactly what are the specifics that you have to do in order to handle the dog well in the ring.
We don't do that. So.
But there are professional handlers that get paid to handle these dogs and to walk them around. And, you know, they're apparently good at what they do. They get paid a lot of money for this. So there must be a skill there.
And
right?
I guess it's not just the walking around a ring and being handled. It's grooming too.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. It's there's some dogs we saw, they spend 2 hours
getting
groomed for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes in the ring. It's insane. And so, I mean, that's, I guess, competition. That's no different than someone doing like a crazy dance thing where they sit.
And a lot of, you know, just time.
Well, yeah. Well, and it's all for prestige.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a...
but that's the thing, like, because this is one of the sports that you have to be a purebred dog. You can't be spayed or neutered. Like, you have to have an intact dog. I don't really think, in my personal opinion, that there's any point of you doing it unless you are planning on breeding. Yeah.
Unless you want to either breed yourself or use your dog for like get breeding rights or whatever for someone else to breed your dog.
Like, I don't know, or maybe you're just enjoying the environment of Conformations and this is what you want to do for fun. To me, walking around in a circle and getting an opinion of a stranger on my dog is not necessarily what I would classify as fun. I would rather spend my money elsewhere. So yeah, it's definitely not something that we would ever do.
So
with our dogs. So I think I saved that one for last for sure, because it is a bit of like
I know what you mean.
You know,
it's got like sports tendencies, but it's not for everyone. I think out of all the dog sports that we've talked about, this is not something that just anyone can do.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's the last on the list, because there's so many better ones. But yeah, so that's our quick kind of list. As we mentioned, we'll have more episodes that, you know, talk specifically about each sport with expert trainers, expert competitors, masters at it, whatever they are.
The champions,
whatever the highest titles are.
Masters of the craft.
Yeah, of their craft.
So if anyone actually knows anyone who is an expert in any of these sports, let us know. Like, reach out to us, because we want to talk to you about every single sport and like dive deep into it. Like, what's exactly involved? What do you have to do? How do you get into these sports and all of that, right?
Yeah. So let us know if you do any dog sports with your dog. Let us know in the comments or in the Q&A which ones you do and why as well. Why do you do those ones? Yeah, and if you don't do any and now you're like, you know, intrigued, which ones do you want to do? Or you do sport, like, which ones do you want to do? We want to do all of them. Except for Conformation. Just as we said, we're not breeding Maple. But we would love to know if we missed any as well. There's a lot more sports, a lot of smaller ones. Let us know. we can talk about those. Maybe with experts.
If any of these, tickle your fancy, let us know and like reach out to these dog trainers and the facilities who
find Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups that are specifically to do with dog sports. Ask questions.
Yeah, and start from the bottom and see if you like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to progress to the next level. No. If you like it, which you probably will because it's so much fun to spend that time with your dog, just crack on with it and do it.
Yeah. So that's it for this episode. So thanks everyone for watching and or listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Yes. Bye for now.